So Blade&Soul Neo is about to launch globally, and in this video, we're going to be breaking down all of the classes that are available to help you decide what to play. I do plan on playing and streaming the game live on Twitch on the 25th when it drops, so definitely drop by if you're planning on playing as well. First and foremost, I want to start by giving a big shout out to both Il and Yasin for helping me put this thing together. These two guys are massive experts at the game, top players of their respective classes. Yasin being an actual top-level professional Blade&Soul player from back in the day. Both these guys have played Neo extensively, and it's been great having them teach me Neo on the KR servers. All of the information from this video is from those guys, so definitely check them out. Their links can be found in the description below. Last thing to know before diving into this, please understand that these classes and breakdowns are based on the Neo version of the game, not the live or even the classic old school version that a lot of you guys may have already played. There are some balance changes in Neo. All right, let's begin. Blade Master is a one-handed melee class that stands out as the top tank in the game while still being able to dish out solid damage. In PvE, Blade Masters are the go-to selection for tank and can even provide a party-wide shield that allows players to become invulnerable for up to 5 hits. In PvP, Blade Masters have a solid, well-rounded kit that primarily deals its damage in burst. While Blade Masters stand out in 1v1 fights, they fall off a bit in group PvP. This is not a beginner-friendly class and does have a higher skill ceiling, allowing skilled players to really shine. Destroyer, widely known as the spin-to-win class, is a tanky melee DPS that wields a large axe to deal its damage. As tanky as this class may be, it's not truly a real tank. On top of its spin-to-win nature, Destroyers also stand out for its grabs that can even hold bosses and allow its party members to deal damage without consuming any resource. As a DPS though, this class is considered to be just average at endgame while struggling in the earlier stages. Aside from its shortcomings in PvE, in PvP, this class is one that has a very strong presence as it's very difficult to kill, but has huge threat potential due to their ability to one-shot, or at the very least, deal significant amounts of damage. This class has access to a lot of CCs on top of this, with grabs being huge value in PvP. Destroyers are not only very difficult to eliminate thanks to its tankiness and CC resist, but it's also one of the top classes when it comes to executing targets. Often referred to as the e-girl trap in Blade&Soul, summoners are the closest thing to healer that's available in the game. Being one of the 2 true range classes in the game, you'll also have access to a pet who can soft tank, deal damage, deal CCs, and even revive members on your team. DPS wise, summoners are middle of the road, but would be tiered higher than Destroyer. In PvP, the damage is pretty mediocre and is easy to learn, but it's just less impactful in the Neo version of the game. This class has had its moments in the sun in PvP, widely being considered a strong noob stomper, but in Neo, it's just lackluster, placing it as one of the worst PvP classes in the game. Force Master, widely known to be as the second e-girl trap, is the other ranged class in Neo. Force Masters are glass cannons that deal damage via fire and ice elemental attacks. This class is one of the top choices in overall DPS, but lacks in CCs in both PvE and PvP. You have one job on this class, and that's to deal damage. One would assume a lack of CCs would make it a bit difficult to PvP on, and that assumption would be correct. On top of the lack of CCs, you also can't combo for more than 5 seconds due to resource consumption. As of now, you can only pretty much deal damage and nothing else. The problem is that the damage in PvP isn't even that amazing. Force Masters are one of the worst classes in PvP in Neo, placing it on the bottom tier along with Summoner. One of the staple classes in Blade&Soul, Kung Fu Master, is a high skill ceiling combo-based melee martial artist class that is not the most beginner friendly. Despite this class being one of the hardest classes to master, it's also one of the most rewarding because of its complete kit. In PvE, Kung Fu Masters can fill the role of a main tank, but is usually second in this role to Blade Master. KFM's Kung Fu Masters can provide a highly sought out party damage buff and can deal respectable damage, out DPSing the Blade Master as a tank. However, this class will require a lot of skill books for it to come online. In PvP, when played well, there is no class that Kung Fu Master can't beat. KFMs have very much a bait and counter playstyle, having access to even more iframes and evasion when successfully blocking incoming attacks. You'll have access to a lot of CCs, including very long flashing combos, and you'll be one of the top classes that can execute kills. Difficulty is a major factor with this class, however. It will require very good hands to play well, as KFMs require precise animation cancels to deal its damage, and is arguably the most technical class to play in the game. Arguably the best overall class in the entire game, Assassins in Neo is exactly what you'd expect from its name: a fast-paced, high APM, mobile melee DPS ninja. Widely considered to be a broken rat class, Sins are top tier in both PvE and PvP categories. This class comes equipped with a lot of utility in CC, high DPS with a lot of that coming from stealth, and is hard to lock down despite being on the squishier side. Sin is another especially ping dependent class, as you'll see yourself doing less overall DPS the higher the ping. But despite that and the high APM, it's also one of the easiest classes to have a big impact on. There's just so much in the kit. I won't read off all of them, but to name a few, Sins can also provide its team with a highly sought party damage buff, and is generally a top tier pick in dungeons and raids due to this and the top tier DPS it brings, of course. You can legit ignore boss mechanics, by the way, since you can attack from stealth. However, this class is a more single target focused class and lacks in the AoE department. In PvP, this class doesn't get any worse. You have 2 CC escapes, one of which counter CCs your opponent, and the strongest neutral game in Neo. Sins are generally the top class in both 6v6 and in 1v1s, unless it's at a very high elo, and even then, they're a top class. Sins can be a very forgiving class to play when it comes to performing well, giving it a much lower floor, but the ceiling can also be very high, and high-level Sins can be very scary. The final class on this list is Blade Dancer. You can think of Blade Dancer as a mobile version of Blade Master, the first class on this list. Blade Dancer is a melee DPS class that comes equipped with a one-handed sword. Despite being like Blade Master, Blade Dancer also has some similarities to Destroyer, namely in the form of a spin to win mechanic that offers resist and having access to grabs. Blade Dancers scale very well with gear, and when loaded out properly can deal very high DPS, arguably the highest in the game. Generally, burstier classes mean lower sustain damage, but Blade Dancers ignore this general rule, having the highest burst damage potential in the game, along with very solid sustained DPS outside of that. In PvP, Blade Dancers shine at stalling fights while having access to a lot of utility in CC. This class used to be considered broken in the live version of Blade&Soul, but in Neo is considered to be overall average, being mid-tier in both offense and defense. Despite being considered average, however, Blade Dancers do have a high skill ceiling. That about wraps this one up, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys are planning on playing. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And once again, major shout outs to Il and Yasin. I'll see you guys in the next video.